Hey everybody, today I wanted to give you a 500 round update on the Springfield Hellcat. Today's video is brought to you by the generosity of Newbold targets. Newbold targets are self-sealing reactive polymer targets that act like steel targets for training and practice, but are safer than steel. They allow bullets to pass completely through the target without ricochet or lead splatter. Check out their links in the description and thank them for bringing us today's video. So I posted an initial thoughts and impressions on this video a little while ago. Go watch that. A couple of challenges that we had with this, but some good things. I mean, what I said in the original video is that it ran pretty well, and I didn't have any mechanical failures with the gun, but that the trigger shoe, the way that the trigger is designed, because my wife has small hands, she really liked this gun, wanted to carry this gun, but couldn't because she couldn't get the trigger safety to release. And for me, my hands are so big that I kind of hang off the end, even with the extended magazines, and I was having a hard time shooting it well. Got some hate on the inner tubes for that, but that's what you'd expect. Oh, you just hate Springfield. Guys, I don't hate Springfield. I think the XD is not a great gun, but Springfield Armory's fine. They're fine as a company. I don't have any problems with them. In fact, their TRP 1911s are fine guns. Really like them. And but I've shot this gun about 500 rounds now. I just cleaned it a little while ago. I know, shocking for me to clean a gun, but I did. And, you know, after 500 rounds, I basically say my first impressions are the same. Now, it's run 500 rounds without any problems. I ran 500 rounds of 115 grain MagTech full metal jacket, and it ran good. I didn't have any problems. I don't have any significant issues, so the gun eats ammo. I really actually like this Shield RMSC. I mean, I know it didn't pass Cowan's drop test, so don't drop it a bunch of times. It's not going to survive that very well. I honestly wish, with the dot on it, that it didn't have the high visibility front sight. I would actually rather have a blacked out front sight than what it has. So if you look down here, you're going to see that high vis front sight on it. And actually, I really wish it didn't have that, because I'm running the dot and it kind of can be a little bit visually distracting. But that's just kind of my philosophy on all things with the red dot. Give me a blacked out front sight, blacked out rear sight that is an emergency backup in case my dot goes. I don't want to have a high vis sight on here. But I mean, that's a small thing, and that's not Hellcat specific, that's everyone specific, but that's the way they sent it to me. So once again, I want you to see the fact here that what you've got is somewhat of a grip problem. Left-handed, so I have to be over here for you to see it. But you notice here, I have the highest grip that I possibly can. I'm gonna release that so you can see it. And you notice here that with the extended grip, I have about 3/4 of my pinky, but you can see my pinky sticking out the bottom there. Okay, and that is actually kind of a challenge, because what you know, if you've watched me for a significant amount of time, is that so much of our grip strength comes from our pinky, and the ability to control recoil comes from the pinky. So then when I wrap my second hand around the gun and get my normal two-handed grip, I'm really putting a lot of pressure here, and what tends to happen is this pinky tends to fall off. So let's see if I do that this time, or if I do a little bit better. It's happening to me all the time, so I'm kind of figuring it's going to happen again. So what you notice there on 11 rounds is that by the end, my finger was all the way at the bottom, and that's kind of translating itself into my accuracy standards. So if I put the 13 rounder in there, it's just a tiny bit better. So you see here that it's got just enough and a little bit more, but it's still not completely on there. Now, I will grant you that this 13 rounds, and if I was carrying this with defensive ammo, 13 plus 1, 14 rounds in a gun this small, that's powerful, man. And if I worked in a non-permissive environment where I really had to make sure I didn't get made, but I wanted to carry a gun with the highest capacity I could, I think this would be a contender for me, because my hand is big enough to get the trigger to go. But let's do another one, and I just want you to see, again, I'm really not playing with the grip here. I want to like this gun, but I want you to notice how low my pinky is, even though I'm smashing my fingers up. So then when I get all of this, okay, so I've shot through 13. Now look at what has happened to my pinky in that time. So what you're going to notice here is that slid down my hand, and my pinky has all but slid off the gun. And again, so that means I've lost a lot of control. Let's look and see what we've got. Now, is this acceptable accuracy? Yeah, I've got a little bit of rightward bias, which does happen to me as a lefty. I don't, the trigger on this gun is acceptable. I don't think it's exceptional. I had one at the very bottom of the 8 zone, but at 7 yards, this is perfectly okay shooting. So is it accurate enough? Yeah, I think it's accurate enough. Is it reliable enough? I think it's done 500 rounds. It's done okay. Is it the kind of gun that I want to trust my life to? That's where I think it comes in. So what I would suggest to you is, depending on how big your hands are, if you can get a full grip on this gun and your pinky doesn't hang off. Now I have large hands. I wear size XL gloves and my fingers are thick. Fat guy jokes inbound. Okay, so with that, I can't really, if I move all that, I can't quite get my pinky all the way on this gun, and because of that, it tends to slip down. And even with this supposedly retextured grip, I can't keep enough grip on this gun that I can really shoot it quickly. Now, again, if I was in a non-permissive environment, or would I maybe find a way to do something, or see if anybody's got a slide extended for this, might work better for me. My wife can't shoot this gun because she literally can't make the trigger operate, period, end of subject. And so if your hands are ridiculously small or quite large, I want you to go and shoot one of these before you spend money on it. But for those in the middle, if you've got kind of average size hands, you wear size large gloves instead of XL or medium gloves, whatever, you got a regular size hand, I mean, heck, it's not a bad gun. It's a tiny little gun you can put a red dot on, and it's got either 11+1 or 13+1. That's pretty good. So, it's you saw it just ate 24 rounds without any problems whatsoever. It's eaten 500 without any problems whatsoever. Haven't tested it yet with defensive rounds, but 500 FMJs without a failure probably is going to run most of those okay. So I'm going to give this gun kind of a qualified recommendation, right? So it's all about hand size with this little guy. So if your hands are not little midget hands, if you're not a carny, and if you're not a big old monster with big hands, I think it's an option for a deep concealed environment. If you have hands that are that big or that small, and I would shoot it first. So there's your update.